Hi there, Sarah here. I make content geared toward neurodivergent parenting. I am a late diagnosed autistic and ADHD mom of 3. And today I want to go through the process that I recently went through to help my 16-year-old daughter, who is also autistic and has ADHD, to set up a sort of daily routine. I'm hoping that this will help you gain some ideas if you're struggling with your teenager and their routine. I know it's something that we've struggled with pretty much forever. So while these ideas may or may not work for you, I'm hoping that it will give you a jumping off point. My daughter and I are very similar in a lot of ways, and it's still, even though she's 16, it's still very hard to get her to accomplish basic everyday tasks. I don't know if you've gone through this cycle of just trying to get your child on a routine, no matter how loose it is, and then kind of just keeps tanking, and then they just aren't doing anything whatsoever. There's something that gets in the way. Maybe it's a big project or a mental block of some kind or something that happened at school, and you might not even know what it is, but it affects them so much that everything kind of gets thrown out the window. I've tried a number of things. I've tried taking away all of her electronics. I've tried setting up strict routines, loose routines for her morning routines, and I talked to her about it a lot, and a lot of times it just doesn't seem to measure up. So I'm going to go over a few tips today to kind of help mitigate it turning into a disaster. But I also want to mention that one of the first things you need to do is really just to let go a lot of the shame, because I felt a lot of guilt. I felt a lot of shame to try to guide my children when a lot of times I feel like I failed. And I know that my teenager has felt similar feelings as well, and that's the last thing that any of us wants. So some of the challenges that you may have faced is the fact that your teenager is both autistic and ADHD. So you have the autism side that craves, that needs the routine, and then the ADHD side, which craves the newness and the dopamine. And there's a lot of other factors as well. I'm sure you've figured this out by now, but they don't want to be told what to do. And sometimes when I word things wrong and I ask my daughter to do something, she will not do it no matter what. I've experienced this with her teachers as well. So this is something that you also need to take into consideration when you're helping them to develop a routine. Instead of telling them what to do, asking them what their ideas are or what their view is on the ideas that you came up with. If you have an older teenager, they may be more independent. They might want to be able to leave the house. And it's important to be able to give them independence, but then there's also that social battery that can easily get worn out. So this may mean something like your teenager may want to go out somewhere by themselves to somewhere quiet, like a coffee shop, someplace where they don't have to interact socially, but they can be there and they can be in an atmosphere besides their house and be able to get out of the house without completely getting worn out. All right, let's get to the 4 steps that I used to help my daughter develop a daily routine. Number 1 was to list the very basic goals that I wanted to see her be able to accomplish. For this, you may want to consider where your teen is at right now. How basic or foundational do these goals need to be? For instance, my daughter was basically just staying in her room. She had nothing in there to entertain her with besides her own crafts, and she was just never coming out of her room. So I had to start somewhere very foundational in order for her to gain the momentum. The list that I wrote down for our basic goals was sleep, trying to ensure that we can get her the best sleep possible, because it is an incredibly difficult struggle for her, and it makes the biggest difference in everything that she accomplishes or wants to accomplish. Then we have food. It's been a struggle to get her to eat enough food. I try to make sure that there's plenty of comfort foods in the house, but this was something that I wanted to address to make sure that she was eating 3 meals a day, because your teenager is growing. They need a lot of food. They need a lot of nutrition. Another big one was exercise. I don't know about your teenager, but mine basically would walk to the kitchen and to the car, and that was about it. So I wanted to be sure that she was getting blood pumping around the body, making sure that she was tiring out her body so that she could sleep better at night. Homework was the next one. For you, it might be school. My daughter is now homeschooled, so even getting her to do that type of homework at home was still a huge struggle. Another one was hygiene. I know this. I struggle with this too. The big ones that I wanted for her were brushing her teeth every day and getting a shower, keeping your body in a good way. It's just something that will help build momentum. And then the final goal that I had was special interests. I know that it's incredibly important for all of us who are autistic, ADHD, to enjoy these special interests, to do them every single day, whether it's something that's highly active, like doing a craft, or whether it's something that's more relaxing, like playing video games. It's not only a way for her, and I to decompress, but it's a way for us to be able to actually relax and kind of let our mind zone out. Sometimes I think about these goals as being incredibly basic, but that's just because it may seem basic to neurotypical people or the neurotypical world that we live in. But for us, they are not, especially if you're a teenager or you or both of you have recently found out that you're neurodivergent and you're still processing through a lot of that stuff. It's a lot to process through, and it's a lot to be a teenager. There's the hormones, there's all the growing, there's all their peers and all that pressure from social media and everybody else around them. And then you heap on top of that all the energy that they spend masking and all the anxiety. And it just can be a lot just to be able to do basic everyday functions. Moving on to step 2 of the process is coming up with some solutions or ideas that you can discuss with your teenager. What I decided to do here was to come up with some ideas and solutions by myself before I talked to my daughter. I had to think of things that were actually things that I would be able to help her with, that were realistic for me. I have a toddler who is also neurodivergent. I'm neurodivergent. I need a lot of support. So do my kids. And so it's incredibly exhausting for me. And I realized that was definitely something I had to consider when I was coming up with some solutions. So be sure that you consider yourself as well when you're coming up with these ideas. You may want to think about your energy levels, whether or not you work, where you live, and things like that. And these are ideas or options. You're not going to be forcing them on your child, but they're just ideas that maybe they haven't thought of that you can get the ball rolling with. I'll give you a few examples. So my first example was a problem we were having is my teenager was never leaving her room. And I'm like, well, trying to figure out why not. Like, she likes to be around people. And then I realized that my house isn't really neurodivergent friendly because I have a 3-year-old who's running around and loud and needy and crying. And I know how much that wears me out. And I realized that she has a lot of auditory sensitivities as well, my teenager. So why would she want to come out and be around that all day long? I also realized that I don't really have time to body double with her. That's something that really works really well. Maybe you have time that you can body double with your teenager in order for them to get their homework done or to get their chores done or just maybe make themselves some food. It's an excellent way for neurodivergent people to get stuff accomplished. And there are also apps out there who you can do like live body doubling sessions with as well. For food, I realized that I do have a lot of comfort foods on hand for her that are really easy for her to make that I know she likes. They're always the same ones, but I was kind of just making dinners that me and my husband like, and they're kind of weird, kind of weird dinners, like tofu and soups, and she has a lot of taste sensitivities and textures, and so I wanted to consider what she likes to eat for dinner. I also thought about exercise, and while I'm the type of person who does not want to go to a gym, I don't want to exercise in front of people, but I do enjoy exercising at home. I remember in the past that she used to like going to a gym to exercise. And I'm happy to offer to take her to a gym so that she can get regular exercise. And that will give her the independence that she really wants. And then she can also walk to other nearby places. If you like this video so far, please hit the like button. It means so much to me, and it really helps to get this video to more people who need help with neurodivergent parenting. Okay, so you've gathered some ideas. Hopefully, if you're like me, you wrote some down or you put them in your phone. And hopefully 1 or 2 ideas for each of the goals that you want your teenager to accomplish or to get as a foundation underneath of them. So step 3 is bring these ideas to your teenager, but bring them to them at the right time. This is meant to be a discussion. It's meant to be a judgment-free discussion. And I wanted to make sure that it was also a quiet area where her and I could just talk, and she wouldn't feel pressured by anybody else or annoyed by my toddler. You also want to make sure that your teenager isn't already busy doing something, or they're not going to want to connect anyway. When you are able to sit down with your teenager, try to use a tone like you're trying to help, that you're discussing it with them, that you're not forcing something on them, but you want their input. You're asking basically what will work for them. How can you support them so that they can be successful? So while I know this won't work for everybody, I did want to give just an example of the routine that we came up with. We decided after our discussion was that 3 days a week, she would get dropped off at the gym. She could exercise, she can shower there, so that eliminated one of the hygiene things. And she also said that before she leaves the house, she likes to brush her teeth. So that helped eliminate the other hygiene thing. And after she got done at the gym, she would walk over to a coffee shop that we found nearby within a couple blocks. And she would sit there and she'd be able to do her homework. She could be at this place where she can order food and enjoy whatever special drink she wants to. Essentially, this is like her body doubling so that she can get her homework done and not just feel like it's a complete chore. Then I can go and pick her up after my toddler gets up from her nap. So it worked with my schedule and it worked with her schedule. The other 2 days of the week were a little bit more open. I wanted to leave a loose routine. Like I said, if you put it too specific and like you have to do the same thing every day, it's not going to work. So you want to be open to tweaking it. But the other 2 days of the week, there was a couple other coffee shops that were a little closer that she could go to, and I could drop her off for an hour or longer and come back and get her, and she could get her homework done, maybe walk around to some other places nearby that she might want to go shopping at. So the other thing that I had thought of was when she gets home, I knew there was going to be this big issue of her wanting to take a nap, because a lot of times she gets tired in the middle of the day and she takes a nap, but it ends up being like a 4 or 5 hour nap, and then she doesn't sleep at night. So I wanted to talk to her about mitigating this and being able to stay awake all day so that she could sleep better at night. So we talked about spending some time after she got home playing on her phone, doing something that was kind of mindless, but not being stuck there all afternoon. Instead, she would join us for dinner, because I was going to make a dinner that she actually liked a lot more often. And then after that, she could engage in the special interests that take a little bit more of her energy when she kind of refueled and relaxed. So something like playing video games where she could connect with her friends on her headset, or doing a craft or different project that she's been working on. I cannot preface enough that this routine will definitely be tweaked. It will be very loose, and there may be lots of parts of it that we change. For example, she did this wonderfully on day 1. Then on day 2, she was really tired and didn't even want to leave the house, which is fine. So I told her I could body double with her for a little while so she could get her homework done. She decided she just wanted to get it done in her room, and then she would hang around the house for the day, which is completely fine. But leaving it open and just kind of talking to her about what her plan was or how she would get the things done that she really needs to was at the basis of those, being able to tweak days that are just a little bit looser. Step 4 is putting the plan into action. It's always fun to come up with a plan, but I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, well, now we actually have to do it. And it's like, ugh. I would recommend that you put the plan into action as soon as possible, right away, if that's possible, because the excitement is still there. And you want to just keep that momentum, everything rolling, and also just trying to hold your teenager accountable to it, but also asking them if there's something that they'd like to change or do differently. You know your teenager. I don't. I hope this is giving you some ideas on how to approach setting up a routine with your neurodivergent teenager that will give them confidence. It will fail at times. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on them. That's not going to help either one of you. We have very difficult days. We have very tired days when we're going to completely fail and we just feel completely miserable. But your family is your biggest gift. And I think that's really just what we need to remember, and that you are blessing them with the support that you can give them. You are their biggest blessing. And even if they don't really say it all the time, they're really grateful for that. If you have any ideas about a routine or anything that worked for you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And you can subscribe to get more content geared toward neurodivergent parenting or just being a mom who's neurodivergent. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. It's so simple. It's so simple.